Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this fella right here. It is a trick-taking game with special player powers and a twist. It's almost like an anti-trick-taking game because you don't want to be the one that loses the trick, the one that puts the lowest numbered card in there, because if you do, that trick is going to cause you injury points later on after the tournament is over. So with all that being said, let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts later on. So here I have a 4-player game set up for you for Tournament at Camelot. At the beginning of the game, you can either choose or randomly select two kinds of cards. There is a protagonist, and that protagonist comes with a companion. Now, the protagonist and the companions are basically your special powers that you're going to be able to use during the course of the game. Here, Guinevere says you're always dealt one additional card, and then it says before the first melee of the tourney round is played, you place one of your dealt cards under Guinevere face down. At the end of the tourney, before weapon hits are tallied, reveal the hidden card. All injury acquired from that suit is doubled for both you and your opponents. Then Lancelot is a companion, and he also has a special ability that comes into effect only when his threshold for use is broken. So until you get down to 150 health, you cannot use this special ability, but after that, it's always available to you. So each person is going to be getting a protagonist and a companion that will be your special power during the course of the game. Now, the game is going to end when one person loses all of their health. At that point, whoever has the most health left is going to be the winner of the game. Now, during the course of the game, it is played out much like a regular trick-taking card game is played out, where one person leads with a card from their hand that will be a certain number in a certain suit, and then everybody should, first of all, try to follow that suit, and then there are some different caveats that can be found. In the deck, there are different kinds of suits. There are arrows, deception, sorcery, alchemy, and swords. And each suit has a number of cards numbered 1 to 15, and then some of them have a little red spot on it here, and the skull and crossbones, which denotes that it is a poisoned card. In this case, it's poisoned arrows. And in some other case here, poisoned deception or poisoned sorcery, so forth and so on. Then there are also two other kinds of cards. There are Sorcerer's Apprentice cards, and there are Merlin cards. Now, the Merlin card says assign any suit and value to this card, even one that has already been played. So this is a way for you to be able to follow suit without actually having that suit. And then there's also other uses of the card as well. The Sorcerer's Apprentice basically has the same effect. It's just that when taken in a melee, Merlin is worth 25 injury points, whereas the Sorcerer's Apprentice is only worth 5 injury points. And so that is what is comprised of the deck. Now, or rather, that's what the deck is comprised of. Now, at the beginning of the game, each person is dealt out 12 cards. Each tournament round is going to consist of 12 tricks, where players are playing cards from their hand, and whoever loses the trick, in other words, the person who plays the lowest valued card of the trick, is the person who takes the trick, which is bad because those cards are going to be causing you injury at the end of the tournament round. At the beginning of the game, the person to the left of the one who dealt the cards is the lead player. So let's just say that the person to my right did deal out the cards, and I have these cards at my disposal. So I'm going to lead a card, and again, more often than not, you want to be the highest card, or at least somewhere in the middle, because there are some special abilities of players out there, like Morgan Le Fay, where when they play a deception card, for example, it can actually change, where the loser of the trick is the person who has the highest card. So normally you want to be somewhere in the middle, not necessarily the highest, not necessarily, definitely not the lowest. Because more often than not, that is definitely a losing card. So I'm going to go ahead and lead off with a 14 sorcery like so. Now, what people have to do from this point on is they have to either lead with sorcery or play a Merlin or Sorcerer's Apprentice card. If they cannot do any of those three things, then they are also able to play an alchemy card like so. Alchemy, is a wild suit. It can become any of the suits that is out there being led. Now, if you cannot follow suit or play a Merlin or a Sorcerer's Apprentice card or play an alchemy card, you have to basically shame yourself, which means you cannot follow suit, you cannot do any of the other things. And if you play a card that does not match suit, you must lose 5 points immediately of health. So while 5 points isn't that much, it does add up if you have a bunch of cards that you cannot follow suit with. So you do need to do that carefully. Another option that you have available for you is feinting, and we'll get to that in just a few moments. That's F-E-I-N-T-I-N-G. So King Arthur over here needs to follow suit, and he wants to do so with not necessarily the lowest card, but, okay, so he knows he has the 15 of sorcery, and he also has the 13. So he's pretty sure that this 11 here, which is actually worth 10 points of injury instead of just 5, that's going to be a safe play as well. And so we come over here to Morgan Le Fay, and she is going to play, looks like the only sorcery that she has in her hand, and follow suit there. And then the Lady of the Lake over here must follow suit, and sorcery, 3 sorcery. Well, she knows that she's going to lose, so she might as well go ahead and play the lowest card and get it out of her hand. Now, this means that this trick or this melee is over with the person who played the 3 taking the trick. Now, this is going to be taken and placed in their pile. At the end of the tourney round, all of those cards are going to be negative injury points for the person who took them. Now, at the end of the tournament round, each player will take their stack of cards that they actually got from losing tricks during the tournament round, and they're going to count cards, how many injury points they took. Regular cards like this one right here is worth 5 points, just like this one. Poisoned ones are worth 10, and Sorcerer or Apprentice cards and Merlin cards are worth the number of points that they have listed down here at the bottom. All right, so I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, and 100 points. So because I had to shame myself once during the round, I'm already at 395, so I would go down to 295 like so. After the tournament round concludes, we go into what is called the Godsend phase, where God is going to send aid to those who need it the most. So the person who has the lowest amount of health gets to choose, in the first round, gets to choose one card, either one of these two or the top one right here. And so Tristan and Isolde here, being down to 295, are the lowest. So they get to choose one of these two things, and this is a special power that they're going to be able to use. For example, Divine Intervention here says use once and discard. After losing a melee, tally the injury from the just played weapon cards and increase your health by that amount, and then discard those weapon cards. The Green Knight here says when the weapon hits are tallied at the end of the tourney round, the sword cards you've taken are worth 0 points. So these are basically things that you'll be able to use during the course of the next round and then after that round they're going to go away, but they do help to try to slow down. It's kind of a catch-up mechanic that is built into the game. In the second round, the 2 players that are the most wounded will get one of these cards, in addition to being 100 or 200 points below the highest leader. And then in the third round, 3 players, the 3 most wounded players, would be able to gain a card, and so forth and so on. So that is Tournament at Camelot from WizKids. Now, I usually enjoy certain kinds of trick-taking games. I don't like it when games try to stray too far away from the basic idea of taking the tricks during the course of the game. And I think that this is one of those games that doesn't stray far away from it. It basically just turns it on its head, where you don't want to be the lowest card in the trick, because that actually wins the trick, not being the highest card, with certain aforementioned caveats, being that there are people out there, players in the game, that can, with their special power, change it to be the person with the highest card takes the trick. Now, I do think that the game has a unique thing about it where the number of players, when it's higher, it actually plays quicker than with fewer players. And the reason that is I think, is because you have more cards being played throughout the course of a tournament round, and those are causing more injury points to the various players at the table. So people are going to lose their health faster, accelerating the end of the game, where when one person dies, that's it. The game is over. So I think it's interesting in that you play a 3-player game and it'll take longer than sometimes a 6-player game. With that being said, this is one of the games that I've played recently where every single time it hit the table, it was loved, with a couple of people even hurrying right after the game on their phones, ordering the game and having it shipped to their home. That's how much people enjoyed this game. And that's how much I enjoyed the game as well. If I didn't already have a copy of it, I would really be looking to buy it, because it is a trick-taking game that takes that element of trick-taking, doesn't really change it at all, just adds some powers and special abilities to it that are simple to keep track of, and continues the game that way, with and adding a few twists in it here and there. I really enjoyed this game a lot. This is probably one of my favorite trick-taking games of all time at this point. I don't think there are too many others that are out there that will reach this level of fun for me. So that's kind of saying a lot, because I'm a little bit picky about the trick-taking games that I do play and that I do enjoy. And this one has risen to the top of that group. So that is Tournament at Camelot from WizKids. Definitely always try before you buy, but seriously give thought to going out and purchasing this game. It's a gem. So we'll see you guys on the flip side.